Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Chelsea and today we are going to be talking about my favorite eyeshadow palettes of all of 2019. Now, if you have already seen my Glam Girl Chelsea Beauty Awards, then you saw that I mentioned a few eyeshadow palettes that I truly loved out of all of mine. But there were other ones that I felt needed recognition because they were awesome. I played with them a lot, and so that's what this video is for. But before we get into this video, I just want to say thank you so very much for clicking on my video and taking a little bit of time out of your day to spend it with me. If this is your first time here, I'd love for you to stick around and subscribe to my channel. And if you are a returning subscriber, I am so appreciative of you. Thank you so much for every like, every comment, and for constantly supporting my videos. It really does mean a lot to me. So let's get right into this video. Alrighty, so like I mentioned before, I already mentioned 3 palettes that were just like stellar palettes to me. I'll just list them out, but if you want to hear more of my thoughts, please go check out that video. I will link it up in the card so that you can go and watch it. But we have my absolute favorite palette out of all of them. Like, this palette trumps all of them, is the Anastasia Jackie Aina palette. Then I mentioned the Colourpop Sweet Talk palette. And then lastly, we have the Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette. So like I said, not gonna waste our time there because we already talked about them. Okay, the first one that I want to actually spend a little bit of time with, this was probably, I think, the first palette of the year that I really was like, ooh, I like you. So it is the Charlotte Tilbury, the Icon palette. And this palette is just really unique in its formulation. So when you look at it, it initially looks like they're all shimmer. And to an extent they are, but then we have this bottom row of shades right here that, in my opinion, act like matte. So they're not as shimmery and they blend very well into the crease and they look more matte on the eye. But what's really cool about this palette that I love is that Charlotte arranged them to where you can do full looks vertically, and the eye look turns out great. It's effortless. She actually even includes this little clear slip. Let me put it on here so you can see it. It'll be upside down because I don't want to blind you with the mirror, but she includes this clear slip that actually says 1, 2, and 3, and then on the back of the palette, it tells you the number 1 color is your prime color, the number 2 color is your enhanced color, and then the number 3 is your smoke color. So I think it's cool if you're just kind of looking at it and you're like, I don't really know what to do. She kind of tells you what to do with it. But I love the way the eyeshadow palette is formulated, and it actually is my first Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow palette. So yeah, I was really happy with that one, and I played with that a lot in the beginning of the year. Okay, on to Natasha Denona. So I thoroughly loved the Sunrise palette. So we have this palette right here, and I did do a full review on this palette. They're just beautiful, warm colors. I mean, you've got your pinks, you've got your yellows, your kind of orangey colors, and then more of your nude colors, and it's beautiful. I also love the size of the palette. So because the palette is not as big as her traditional large palettes, so here's one of the larger palettes, it was about half the price, and the pan sizes are smaller, but if you have more than one eyeshadow palette, you're not going to go through them quickly. So I love it, love it. Then we have the Natasha Denona Sunset palette. So although this palette is not new to 2019, it was new to me in 2019. I had had my eye on this palette for 2 years now, because I think this one came out in 17. And when this went on sale at Sephora, I was like, I'm gonna get it. And I will say this, I'm so glad I have this palette. It's gorgeous, beautiful warm tone colors that I love. But I'm very glad I got this palette on sale because the formula is not as good as her Sunrise palette. In my opinion, it's not as good as the Mini Nude palette. The formula is good, it's just not as good. So I'm glad I didn't spend $129 on it. I'm glad I got a little bit of savings. But I really, when I first got that palette, I used it a lot, and I still use it because it's got all the shades that I love. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but disclaimer, it definitely is not worth the $129. Okay, this palette surprised me so much because I was not even expecting to pick it up. The Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. This is what I'm wearing on my eyes, and it's just, I mean, it's one of those palettes that you're just like, you're stunning. Like, you are stunning. So the look that I have on now, I feel like is a little more springy. I don't think this is like winterish, but it's so pretty. I just keep saying that because it really is. What made me purchase this palette was I saw swatches in the store and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need for you to come home with me. But I love the shimmers, the metallic shades, they're so beautiful. The mattes blend out really good. I did do a full review on this palette as well, so I will link that for you if you'd like to go and watch it. But I am not disappointed by this palette. Every time I reach for it, I love every look that I create with it. So happy with this. We have another one. Now this palette, I think it is discontinued because it was limited edition, but this is the Sir John x Luminess palette that was inspired by the Lion King. Can't wait to be queen. And ooh, y'all, this palette is a staple for me. So like, pretty much anytime I travel, I take this one because I have all of my perfect nude colors. So just quickly, and I did do a full review of this, yep, I did. These brown shades in the middle are perfect brown shades for my complexion. And then I love the lighter toned shades here. So I've got this khaki shade here, and this more peachy shade. They're so good for blending the colors together. I mean, and then I've got my pops of color if I wanna jazz up a look, but this palette was formulated so well. So glad I got it. If you did not get your hands on it, I'm sorry, but that's by far one of the best investments that I have made this year in terms of makeup, you know. Okay, and I'm almost done, y'all. I really am. This is not gonna be a long video. How about that? Okay, then we go on to Pat McGrath. So when I was deciding on what palettes I love the most out of the year, if you follow me on Instagram, you would know that when I post her palettes there, I always say you've never tried a shimmer or a metallic shade in your life until you've tried Pat McGrath's. And I stand by that. But for some reason, and I think because the palette is so luxe, I don't reach for her palettes a lot. Like I usually reach for them when I really want like something really special. I want to go out, or I'm going out to an event. Like I kind of conserve her palettes for special events. And I'm trying to get myself out of that. So toward the end of this year, I've been using my Pat palettes more on, you know, a regular basis. And they are phenomenal. But for that reason, that's why I did not put them in my best of the best of all of 2019, because I really didn't use them until like October and now. Okay, I just wanted to get that out of the way. But I have two. So I have the Midnight Sun palette. This is the Mothership 6 palette. And as soon as I saw this one, I was like, you're coming home with me. Like, I have to have you. My favorite shade in this palette is this shade right here. When I use it, and I say it all the time, but it's just the truth, it literally looks like fire on my eyes. Like, who makes fire in a palette? Pat does. It's amazing. The special shades in her palette are just, I mean, I don't even have words for them. Like the shimmer and the effect and the dimension that they have. I don't know how she does it, but keep doing what you're doing, Pat. And then I have the Mothership 5 palette, which I got this palette last year, Christmas of 2018. And so it didn't come out this year, but I used it obviously more this year than last year because I got it for Christmas. And my favorite shade is this pink shade. Oh, it looks so pretty. Like when I want a romantic pink look, I go for that shade and it just gives it to me every time. And then my last Pat palette that I've thoroughly been enjoying is the Ritualistic Rose Quad. So I think it was September of this year, she came out with 3 quads. So of the 3 quads, the Ritualistic Rose was the one that I really was like, I really want this palette. But yeah, my Pat palettes, I thoroughly enjoyed them. I think they are awesome. I think if you've been looking at them and you want them and you have the money to purchase them, do yourself a favor and get one. Because if you want to experience luxe in an eyeshadow palette, no one does it better than Pat. And And that's just that. You'll see my ramen skills. Alrighty, and then the last palette that I want to mention, and this palette is new to my collection, but I have been using it so much that I have to show it love because she deserves all of it. It's the Nabla Secret Palette. So I did recently just do a review of this palette, and I once again will link it in the cards above so that you can go and take a look. And I've only had this palette maybe 3 weeks, and look how busted it looks. Like, I've got nail prints in it. You know, the actual packaging is not pretty anymore, but you guys, this palette, and more so the mattes in this palette, like I said in my review of the palette, when I use the matte shades and blend them out on my eye, number one, it makes me not want to use a shimmer, and that's not me at all. I am a shimmer gal. Secondly, it literally looks like silk on my eyes. Like, that's how finely milled and beautiful the mattes just blend effortlessly into the eye. Like, I don't know what they did, but I'm gonna need for them to keep doing it. So I definitely want to get more from Nabla. Like I said in my review of this palette, you will be seeing more of Nabla on my channel because I'm so impressed by this palette that I want to try more from them, because I just think that formula, and the shimmers work well too. Like, I don't want to make it seem like the shimmers aren't good because they are, but with matte shades, like, you can really tell the quality of an eyeshadow palette based on the matte shades, you know, because not everybody can formulate them well. So yeah, guys, that is it. These are the palettes that I truly loved of 2019. I think they are the best of the best. They are the ones that I kept reaching for, and I'm so thankful that I have each and every one of them. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below letting me know what your favorite palettes were of 2019, because if I have not tried them, I might want to try them. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my very next video. Bye, guys.